Hey everyone, we are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Did y'all just see that? Did y'all just see that? The Cleveland Browns, posted that man on their own social media and said, "On the money." They said it. They typed it themselves. They hit send. Not Dre Fiver. Not the Shedeur Sanders fan club. The Cleveland Browns organization looked at that throw, looked at that ball placement, looked at that timing window, and they said, "On the money." Welcome back to Dre Reports. I'm your host, Dre Fiver. And today, we are in the middle of OTAs season, and I need y'all to understand what is happening in Berea, Ohio right now, because if you are asleep on this story, you are going to wake up and the whole conversation will have changed without you. Buckle up. Let me start at the beginning, because context is everything when we talk about this franchise. We are talking about a team, the Cleveland Browns, who gave Deshaun Watson $230 million fully guaranteed. Let that marinate. Fully guaranteed. The most controversial, most catastrophic, most financially reckless quarterback contract in the history of the National Football League. A contract so historically bad that, according to reporting from multiple NFL insiders, it became the centerpiece of a collusion argument between the league and the Players Association over how fully guaranteed money should be structured going forward. They changed the entire conversation about quarterback contracts in this league because of what Cleveland did. And now, in the summer of 2026, Watson has been healthy for a grand total of 19 games over 4 seasons with this organization. 19. That's it. And somehow, he is currently being discussed as the favorite to start Week 1. I need y'all to feel the weight of that. I need you to sit with that. Now let's talk about the man of the hour, Shedeur Sanders, 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft. And look, I covered the draft situation. I covered the phone call controversy, the teams passing, all of it. But that's old news. What matters right now is what is happening on that practice field, because the numbers coming out of those OTAs do not lie. According to ESPN Cleveland's quarterback tracker, which, by the way, is an unprecedented move just to track a practice, which tells you everything about how much attention this quarterback room is getting. Shedeur Sanders led every single quarterback on this roster in touchdown percentage and completion rate across the open OTAs and mandatory minicamp. Let me give you the final numbers from those 5 open practices. Shedeur Sanders, 41 completions on 53 attempts. That is 77.4%. 9 touchdowns. 1. Now compare that to Kenny Pickett at 60.3% with 7 touchdowns. Compare that to Dylan Gabriel at 57.8% with 8 touchdowns. And compare that to Joe Flacco. Bless his heart, the man has thrown a football in what feels like 4 different eras of NFL history at 51.4% with 2 touchdowns. 77.4%. In OTAs, with the least amount of reps in the room. I want y'all to understand what it means to be efficient with limited reps. In a quarterback competition, when you are down the depth chart, they are not giving you 50 or 60 attempts to find your rhythm. You get what you get. And Shedeur Sanders, with fewer opportunities than everybody else in that room, posted the best completion rate and the most touchdowns per attempt. Cleveland Browns color analyst Nathan Zagura, a man who covers this team every single day, said after watching Sanders up close that his ball placement is, and I am quoting exactly, elite. He said his ability to layer throws is elite. He said he has plenty of arm strength and he has never seen him lack confidence without crossing into arrogance. That is a professional evaluator. That is somebody whose job is to tell Cleveland fans the truth about this football team. And he used the word elite. Now here is where Dre Fiver has to keep it fully honest with you, because I am not here to just cook on everybody and tell you everything is perfect in paradise. The media, the ESPN bots, the paid actor Twitter accounts, the people who have had it out for this kid since before he threw a single NFL pass. They saw some footage from early OTAs and they immediately went to work. Wobbly ball. Duck throw. You heard it. You saw the tweets. I saw the tweets. And look, I'll give you this. Not every ball was a laser. Not every throw was going to get you a highlight reel. It's OTAs. It is spring practice in shorts and a helmet. But here's what those same critics conveniently forgot to mention. A man who had a 9.3% drop rate in college, 9.3%, which means receivers were not catching his throws at an alarming rate, was catching Shedeur's passes. With ease. The receivers were not fighting the ball. They were not adjusting their bodies sideways to get a hand on something that was coming in sideways. They caught it like it was placed there for them, which is exactly the definition of a catchable ball. Ball placement, people. Ball placement is not the same as raw velocity. Ask any NFL offensive coordinator what they value more in a young quarterback, heat or location. And 9 out of 10 will tell you location every single time, because you can throw it 100 miles an hour into the dirt or into a linebacker's chest. Velocity without placement is just noise. And speaking of placement, let me tell you about the throw that started the whole debate during the first open OTA. Sanders finds KC Conception, number change from 17 to 1, by the way, which caused its own little sidebar drama among Browns fans who thought it was Shedeur's number. Across the middle, layers it between two defenders, hits him in stride. Now, from one camera angle, you see the rotation on the ball, and some folks online decided that was their moment to pronounce the man done. But then, and this is always how it works, the second angle comes out, and you see the ball going over the defender's hands, you see it drop into the window, you see the receiver catch it clean, and suddenly, the narrative dies in real time. The backside dig, the coverage layering, the attack the sticks mentality. According to reporters on the ground in Berea, the most consistent thing Sanders does in that practice setting is attack the middle of the field. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't pull it down when it gets tight. He delivers. Now let's talk about the other quarterbacks, because this is a competition, and we have to be fair. And I am going to be fair, even if it pains me. Dillon Gabriel. DG, the third-round pick out of Oregon. He threw the most passes in the 5 open practices. 83 attempts total, more than anyone. He completed 57.8% of them. And look, DG showed some things. He has a different throwing motion, he's shorter, he throws from different windows, and when he's on, he can be crafty. There was a throw he had from the hash to the outside numbers that, mechanically, requires arm strength he doesn't always get credit for. So Dre Fiver will put a little respect on the name. The numbers, though, don't lie. Shedeur was more efficient with fewer opportunities. And at the end of the day, in a quarterback competition, efficiency with premium opportunities is what wins the job. Kenny Pickett. The veteran, the trade acquisition, the man brought in because Cleveland wanted to add a floor to this quarterback room. He was fine. 60.3%, 7 touchdowns, competitive reps. He is what he is at this stage of his career, a game manager with starting experience who gives you a known quantity. And Joe Flacco. God bless Joe Flacco. That man has been starting quarterbacks before half the players on this roster were in high school. 51% is not going to cut it, but nobody drafted Joe Flacco to win a quarterback competition in 2026. He's there to teach. He's there to steady the room. He's there because Kevin I have to stop. Kevin Stefanski is gone. We have a new head coach. Todd Monken is running this operation now. And reportedly, Monken's offensive system has some elements that actually fit what Watson did best during his prime years in Houston. Which brings me to the part of this conversation I have been dreading. Deshaun Watson. Let me tell you what I know about Deshaun Watson, the football player, separate from everything else. I have followed this man since he was at Gainesville High School in Georgia. I watched him go to Clemson. I watched him put up one of the most electric rookie seasons in NFL history before a knee injury shut him down. I watched him become arguably the most electrifying dual-threat quarterback in the league at his peak in Houston. I know what Deshaun Watson at full health looks like. And that player, that version, was genuinely special. The scrambling ability, the extension, the deep ball. Real. All of it real. And now, in May of 2026, he is healthy again. He has fully rehabbed from tearing his Achilles not once, but twice since 2024. He has been on the practice field. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, Watson is already a factor when first-team reps begin at OTAs and has reportedly already developed a genuine connection with Todd Monken and his system. And a source close to Watson that spoke to ESPN Cleveland's Jerry Fowler and Daniel Oyefusi said publicly that Watson understands why the fans are frustrated and that the time away from the game was the best thing that could have happened to him. He wants your sympathy, Cleveland. That's what that statement is. He wants you to know he gets it. He wants you to know he sat down, he reflected, he is healthy, and he is ready. And look, Dre Fiver is not in the business of telling you whether to give somebody sympathy. That is between you and your conscience. What I will tell you is this. Practice has never been Deshaun Watson's problem. Going back to the last time he was an active player on this roster, there were reports coming out that he looked excellent in practice, sharp, mobile, the Watson of old. And then game day came, and the results were catastrophic. A completion rate of 61% across his entire Cleveland tenure, 19 touchdowns and 12 interceptions in 19 games, a passer rating that made you physically uncomfortable, being sacked over 3.5 times per game, and a record of 1-6 in his last stint as a starter in 2024. So when I hear Watson looks great in shorts, I hear that same song I've heard before, and I know how that song ends. Here is the layer of this whole story that I need you to pay attention to, because this is where it gets political. And I know y'all don't love when it gets political, but this is the reality of professional football. The Cleveland Browns just sold a 3% ownership stake in the franchise to a private equity firm called OTAS Partners. According to reporting from NFL insider Jonathan Jones of CBS, the NFL owners voted to approve the sale, which would give OTAS, a firm that already owns stakes in the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Chargers, a piece of the Browns franchise. Now, according to Forbes, the Browns are valued at approximately $6.4 billion, 3% of $6.4 billion. You do the math, that is in the neighborhood of $192 million walking into Jimmy Haslam's pocket. And this sale is happening right now in May of 2026, as they are breaking ground on a new dome stadium in Brook Park with a price tag of $2.6 billion. Why does this matter to us? Because this organization is not making decisions purely about football right now. They are making decisions about business, about revenue, about optics, about the face of a franchise that is trying to convince a private equity firm and a fan base and a brand new stadium deal that there is something worth investing in here. And Shedeur Sanders, the fifth-round pick who gives back to the Cleveland community, who teammates call a genuinely likable person, who local media has gone on camera to say surprised them with his personality. Shedeur Sanders is a marketing asset. He is a brand. He has name recognition that extends far beyond Cleveland because of who his father is. And whether you like Coach Prime or you don't, whether you think the draft slide was justified or not, the name Sanders moves the needle in a way that Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett simply do not. This organization knows that. They are not blind to that. They will use Shedeur as a face of the franchise while simultaneously trying to extract every last dollar of value from Deshaun Watson and his $230 million contract. And I genuinely do not know if Watson's body can survive that plan. Torn Achilles twice. Shoulder issues. 30 years old. By the time this is done, Cleveland may have gotten the single worst return on investment in the history of professional sports contracts. Now let me bring it back to the field, because above all the money and the politics and the drama, this is a football show. And the football question right now is actually simpler than people are making it. Who gives the Cleveland Browns the best chance to win football games in 2026? Because as one Cleveland media member, a reasonable man, not one of the disrespectful ones, just somebody voicing a real perspective, pointed out recently, this time last year, the conversation was about Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, and that didn't stop the Browns from going 2-10 in their other games. The point he was making is that the quarterback debate should not consume us if the team around the quarterback isn't built to win, and that is a fair point. But here is my counter to that point. Shedeur Sanders posted a 77.4% completion rate. Shedeur Sanders threw 9 touchdowns to 1 interception over the 5 open practice sessions. And he did that with the fewest reps of anybody in that room. In a competition, you do more with less. You earn the reps. Shedeur Sanders, by every objective metric from the open portion of this camp, earned more reps. And the fact that the conversation is still, apparently, about Watson having momentum because he's healthy and he's been in this league longer, that tells you everything about how this organization values what happens on the practice field versus what happens in a boardroom. I want to leave you with something to think about, because this is not over, not even close. They haven't even put pads on yet. Training camp is coming. Preseason games are coming. And every single time Shedeur Sanders steps on that field, the cameras are going to be on him. Every throw, every completion, every incompletion, every check down, every third down conversion, the media that wants him to fail is watching. The media that wants him to succeed is watching. The city of Cleveland that has been burned by this quarterback situation for going on 5 years now is watching. And somewhere in that locker room, Deshaun Watson, with 230 million reasons to take his job back, is watching. This summer is going to tell us a lot about what this franchise really values. It is going to tell us whether all those OTA numbers mean anything when it is time to hand out reps to the first team in training camp. It is going to tell us whether the Browns are serious about a competition or whether this is a scripted outcome dressed up in practice footage. And Dre Fiver is going to be here every single step of the way. I am not going anywhere. This channel is not going anywhere. And look, while I have you, let me just say this real quick. Forget the quarterback for a second. Mason Graham looks terrifying. That defensive line with Myles Garrett? Jim Schwartz said publicly that Garrett is going to have the best season of his career. Myles Garrett, the best pass rusher in the NFL, best season of his career. Add Graham to that interior, and the defense alone is going to make life very difficult for opposing offenses this year. This is not a team being built around a quarterback hope and a prayer. There are real pieces here. Real talent. The defense has a chance to be elite. The running back room with Rocket Sanders and Quinshawn Judkins changing number assignments and bringing energy every day, that group looks exciting. The Browns, in spite of everything, in spite of the Watson contract anchor, in spite of all of it, have real football players on this roster. And if the right person is under center, if the cream rises to the top the way it is supposed to, in a legitimate competition, this team could surprise some people in 2026. But that is only if. And that if has everything to do with what happens between now and training camp, and what decisions this organization makes when the pads finally go on and it's time to name a starter. The numbers said one thing in OTAs. Now let's see if Cleveland has the courage to honor those numbers. That's what Dre Fiver is watching. That is what this channel is about. No filter, no corporate agenda. Just the tape, the numbers, and the truth. And right now, the truth is wearing number 12 and throwing 77% in a practice where they didn't even want to give him the reps. All right, look, if you made it this far, you already know what it is. Smash that like button right now. If you think Shedeur Sanders has earned his shot at QB1 in Cleveland, say it in the comments. If you think Deshaun Watson is going to walk back in there and reclaim his throne, say that too. Dre Fiver is not afraid of the debate. I want to hear from all sides. Drop your take down below. Be as real as you want. We run a no-filter zone on this channel. And if you are new here, if somebody dropped you on this video and you are wondering where this energy comes from every single day, hit that subscribe button right now. Dre reports. No filter. No agenda, just football. We will see you on the next one. Peace.